Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of 108 Inches Baseball Talk. My name is Scott Morgan, off Motor City Madmouth, and great show lined up today. And I'm glad to have my crew, Rick, Curti, Mr. Opinion. Welcome back, Rick.
Thanks, Scott.
And Eric Katz, Mr. Concrete Dump.
Good to see you too.
All right, well, just so you got everybody knows right now that the primary headlines in the baseball world, we're going to talk about the Philadelphia Phillies firing Joe Girardi. We're going to talk about the Los Angeles Dodgers' enormous tax bill that they're going to have because they're spending a boatload of money. And breaking news today, Joe Madden let go by the LA Angels. 12-game losing streak didn't help. So those are the three things. So we hope you can stay with us from start to finish so that you'll be able to get our insights as well as some timely information. With that said, just so you know, if you want to follow the show, feel free to go do so at Twitter. And our handle on that is at Tribune South. You can also subscribe to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel, see us visually, or you can go ahead and find an iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcast. So lots of different places to find us. And again, please subscribe to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. If you're already on YouTube, we have a lot of our information as well in the ticker. With that said, let's talk about the first item on the agenda, and that's the Philadelphia Phillies firing Joe Girardi. They have a payroll which happens to be the fourth highest in baseball at $233.1 million, and a tax bill that's going to be $629,000, and that's a lot of money. Okay, and during the offseason, they inked Kyle Schwarber to a 4-year deal, $79 million. Nick Castellanos, 5 years, $100 million. Dave Dombrowski doesn't mind paying the bill. Only problem was he didn't spend the money wisely enough because they have no relief pitching. Joe Girardi leaves the city of brotherly love with a 132-141 mark, 484 winning percentage. He's age 57. And, unfortunately for him, the thing that finished him off, the 3-game sweep against the Los Angeles Angels, who, by the way, find themselves and the Phillies face the Milwaukee Brewers tonight. A lot of information to unpack there. Rick, let's talk about the firing of Joe Girardi.
Well, not a surprise because it's Philadelphia and they boot Santa Claus. So, and their fans are, they want to win. They want results now. And he was in a hostile environment. So it's not a surprise. When he went back to managing, I was really happy he was going back to managing, but I really wasn't really enthused that he was going to Philadelphia. I thought the best fit for him, and I thought he was going to go to the Cubs. I thought the Cubs would have been a much better fit. He went there. He went to Northwestern. He played there. That would have been perfect, but apparently the Cubs went a different direction. And so when he went to the Phillies, I was like, well, I'm glad he's back. I hope it works out. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. He's a great manager. If I was needing a manager, looking for a manager, I'd be looking at Joe Girardi. So it just wasn't a good fit for him in Philadelphia. But I feel like he'll manage again.
Eric?
With Joe Girardi being let go, I wasn't too surprised. I knew going into the season he was on the hot seat considering the lineup he was given. And also, the roster, they did a little bit with the bullpen. I'd like the idea of getting Brad Hand to set up. Also, but they did take a gamble on Nick Nelson and Corey Knebel, which Knebel was the Brewers closer once upon a time, but he hadn't been in that role in quite some time. So they were taking a little bit of a gamble there. But the thing what really hurt the Phillies was they have no defense. I saw something that they've given up negative 125 runs saved this year. So their non-defensive plays were just, it was just all for him. Also, I think the problems there are beyond Joe Girardi. I think it's an organizational problem. They only gave Gabe Kapler, 2 years there, and he only got them sub 500. So really not a big surprise there, just given that, Philadelphia is a tough town to manage in. Yeah, Girardi's managed in New York, but the thing about it though is he had a little bit of legacy there, being the catcher on a couple of those World Series teams, and also catching, I think, a no-hitter in a perfect game over there. So
I'm sorry, Eric. You make a really interesting point. So hang on to your thought for a moment, because you really are. You got my wheels turning a little bit here. When you talk about defense, you think about they have 2 designated hitters. Bryce Harper can't play because he's hurt, and we all know that Nick Castellanos' defense has been anything but good. So, let's face it, you have a designated hitter in the lineup. You don't have two designated hitters. Continue.
I mean, they just did. Dave Dombrowski did a poor job at that, just getting guys. I mean, obviously the team is built to bang, and they are built to mash, and you need all the offense. And they also do have some decent starting pitching like Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola, but the rest of their pitching staff, they just did not do a good job at that. They knew they needed bullpen help, and they did they got a couple, but they really should have done more. And I think when it becomes sooner or later, I think Dave Dombrowski is going to be out the door too after this season. It's just that, Girardi unfortunately got the short end of the stick for right now. But make no mistake, he's won a World Series ring, and he he did really well with the Florida Marlins before they unceremoniously fired him. But he'll be back again. I mean, he's got winning teams before. I don't think that it was the right situation for him, given that team was all about winning now. I get Girardi wants to win now. But in a pressure cooker town like Philadelphia, you got to be winning. Otherwise, they're going to let you know. And I think kind of is a situation where the front office succumbed to the fans a little bit and didn't let Girardi finish the year, which to me, I thought, if the season wasn't going to turn around, they were going to, I thought he was going to get the boot anyway.
Well, yeah, again, he wasn't in the playoffs in a short tenure there. I agree. He's age 57. I know I'm with you guys. Okay. I don't have any doubt that he will get hired again. I think the thing that unfortunately doomed him right now, and the Phillies are currently 25-29, just so you guys know for the record as we speak. But what doomed Joe Girardi were just these simple numbers. The fourth highest payroll, $233.1 million. And a tax bill of $629K. So, regardless of how good the team is, when you're spending a lot of money and you're losing, the mindset is I'd rather lose. I would rather lose with developmental players, so you cut your losses. But I think Joe Girardi was in a no-win situation at all because, again, you only manage the roster that you're given. Mm-hmm. And when you talk about managers. Obviously there's 30 franchises, right? So
right.
You have 30 franchises, and they're not all constructed the same way, and there's no salary cap. So the haves and the have-nots, and it's not like you have the Tampa Bay Rays where you have a great farm system and you make the best of it, and you can still win and make money. I don't want to take this off topic too much, but I think what doomed Joe Girardi was the payroll. The lack of pitching. And I agree. I think Dave Dombrowski will be heavily evaluated as well.
I mean, the guy who hired him to begin with was fired after that season. So really, I think Dombrowski will get. I mean, there's possible Dombrowski stays because he gets an opportunity to hire his quote unquote guy. But right. But again, it's kind of very much up in the air there. But right now, I really think with how well Kapler's done in San Francisco, taking a team of nobodies to an NL West title, I think that really it's an organizational problem. I really think that there's a lot more going on in that organization right now. We've come to figure out, if they're not winning, well, it's the manager's problem. Well, it's very much a GM's game. But when that happened, we figured out, well, it's more than just the GM. It's very much an organizational problem. And I think Philadelphia is an organizational problem right now.
Well, I saw the Phillies took on the Marlins. I was surprised that the Marlins stuck it to them. I realized, but again, you're talking about a disparity in payrolls, and you would have thought one would be far better. But that's for another day. I think you're right. Obviously, when you go through managers every couple of years, something doesn't appear to be right. So, you know what? Another thing that you talk about is Dave Dombrowski will go ahead and have an opportunity to pick his own manager. But I can tell you right now, Jim Leland won't be that guy. I think he's happy in his 70s just as an administrator with the Tigers. So I won't even dare to get into any potential names right now out there. We'll let this whole thing. And I believe Rob Thompson's the interim guy. He'll have an opportunity to try to win the job outright, and we'll see. But the only thing I'll say before we move on to the next subject is the New York Mets are a runaway train, and Buck Showalter is going to have this division clinched by July at the rate things are going, or August. So whoever gets in as a wild card, that's your only shot in that division. And we'll address Buck Showalter and the amazing Mets, because they have been amazing with all the injuries that they've had, and Buck Showalter finds a way to get it done. So, with that said, let's talk about a team that spends an awful lot of money. We went from the fourth highest team in the Phillies to obviously the highest team in the LA Dodgers, who currently stand at 35-19, $310.6 million, the highest record, in terms of tax bill at $47 million. They added Freddie Freeman to a big one-year deal, and they're the only team to exceed the fourth threshold, which we all now know as the Steve Cohen tax. Now, the payroll would drop by $28.1 million if domestic suspension is upheld by arbitrator against Trevor Bauer, who, by the way, had a 3-year contract, $102 million and $34 million as well. So, again, the Dodgers aren't afraid to spend the money, but at least they're winning, and, they don't have to worry about anything being under pressure to win a World Series because they are spending a lot of money. They've done it. So, all right, Rick, you used to live in L.A. Let's talk about the Dodgers and that massive payroll.
Well, the Dodgers are rolling. They're going to win the World Series. Everybody knows that. They're the best team in baseball. They're doing a great job. Getting Freddie Freeman was great. Look at the Braves. They barely got back to 500, so they miss Freddie Freeman. Even though they don't want to admit it, they do miss him. And he's done a great job going there. Dodgers are on a roll. They want to prove to people that, hey, we won the World Series, and you want to put an asterisk on us because it was during COVID. All right, we're going to show you we're legit. And so they're not afraid to spend. It's just they're the opposite of the Phillies. The Phillies spent, nothing happened. The Dodgers spend, and they're winning. So they're hitting all the big notes. They play in a massive, massive market, in Los Angeles, and they're doing great. So my hat's off to the Dodgers, the next World Series champions.
I mean, the Dodgers, we've seen them do it time and time again. They're willing to spend. Also, the most amazing thing about the Dodgers is they can not only spend, but they have a great farm system. They are going into the season, they were ranked number 5 overall. So these aren't just the new modern day Yankees of just spending money and neglecting the farm system. They're doing it both ways, and they have young players who are able to contribute. So just in case they have to let somebody go, they got some guys waiting in the wings. So the Dodgers are doing a fantastic job. Love them or hate them, they are definitely a smart organization. To spend like they do and also still have that farm system is truly just amazing. It's either you have one or the other, but the fact that Dodgers do both, you gotta think that they're one of with the money that they have, they're not only spending money, but they're spending smartly.
Well, the one thing I should point out about compared to the Phillies, the Dodgers don't get rid of managers as quickly as a lot of organizations either. For once upon a time, there was Walter Alston. Never heard of Tommy Lasorda. Okay,
Been there for Remember Tommy Lasorda there forever. Vince Scully, all that. They have a long threshold of keeping people, and Mookie Betts trade looks fantastic. He's the MVP right now in the National League. So, they clearly won on that. Look at all the players, the Red Sox. Nobody lasted, but Mookie Betts still there. They thought he would, he's in a different league, bigger market. He's better right now than he was before.
But I want to emphasize the managerial situation, if I may, please. And the fact that you talk about Lasorda, Walter Alston, Don Mattingly was there for a little while, Joe Torre, but, they haven't gone through nearly as many managerial situations as a lot of clubs. They're very patient with their manager. And, I'll double up what you said, Eric, the fact that the farm system has always been good. So they can pretty much do whatever they want. They could either go ahead and develop guys in their farm system, and then they can also spend money. That's a great situation and a great organization. They're certainly, without a doubt, a model organization because they can draw anywhere they want, spend as much as they want, spend it wisely. And what manager in their right mind wouldn't want to manage their – anyways, go ahead, Eric.
Here's the thing too, like even before the current ownership now, which is owned by a bunch of different people, Magic Johnson being one of them. The fact that Mark Walter and that organization, like they are willing to be patient. They're kind of like I like to compare them to the Steelers of football. They know that winning takes time. They know that, that it just can't just happen overnight. So they're willing to stand by it. The McCourts were the same way when they owned the team. they understand the fact that, hey, this is going to take time. You can't just get rid of a guy overnight. They give their manager a nice long leash, and obviously when he's not getting it done, they'll do what they have to. They did it to they did it rightfully or wrongly to Don Mattingly, which at the end of the day he wasn't getting that team over the hump. But the fact that that they understand that, and unlike other ownership groups, it's why they're the best in baseball.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a whole lot more I'm going to add to that. The fact of the matter is, the only thing I will add to it is I love the comparison you had with the Pittsburgh Steelers. That to me is the Steelers are a first class operation, anyways.
They gave Chuck Noll a lot of time to get it going during the 70s. I think they also gave him, depending on who you ask, they gave him a little too long during the 80s. But
it's not the point. The point is you got Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and Mike Tomlin. What else do I need to say? You have three managers in the better part of 2.5, 3 decades.
They haven't fired a guy since almost the late 60s.
All right, well there you go. And I don't think either of you guys were born then. I know I was. So I'm the only one that has been around on this panel here about the last time they let anybody go. But I think the point of the matter is, Eric, it was a great comparison. How the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Dodgers are so eerily similar, and they've obviously, what do they have in common? They win a lot, and they're historical franchises. So excellent point. And the last thing we're going to talk about tonight is obviously the breaking news of the day. Joe Madden, 68 years of age, has been replaced by Phil Nevin, and he was fired amidst a 12-game losing streak. So during his tenure there, 157, 172, no winning season, no postseason. I think one of the things he did handle well was Shohei Ohtani and the way he's able to manage his playing time, both as a DH as well as a pitcher. But again, you're talking about what doomed him in is what have you done lately? And in retrospect, when the hitters aren't hitting, and Mike Trout is embroiled in an 26 slump until he broke out of it. Can't blame that on the manager. All they're looking at is a 12-game losing streak, and that's about it.
I was kind of scratching my head on this one. As much, I think that I was a little too early. I mean, I thought they'd at least let him finish the year, and then obviously I thought he would get like one more year, because it's not too late to turn it around. They're only 2 games under 500. It's not too late to turn it around and potentially catch a wild card spot. But it's, but obviously in baseball now, and probably arguably other sports, it's what have you done for me lately?
Right.
And, it's all about the ROI, and the Angels apparently weren't getting it. Look, I get that the Angels for a while just didn't have any pitching, but, I thought he deserved to finish the year. I thought he deserved at least one more year, considering how that team was, considering going into it, that team was still rebuilding. Yeah, they still had Trout, and yeah, they had a unique player in Shohei Ohtani. But, I think, in baseball today, it's what have you done for me lately? And it's all about the ROI, and the Angels felt as though they weren't getting it. So they let him go. Yeah.
The thing about it is that he's in the final season of a 3-year deal. So he's already in a lame duck situation anyway. So, at this particular point, what are you going to do? You're in the final year of a 3-year deal, Eric and Rick. Okay, final year. Do you try to ride it out a little bit longer, or you just say, you know what, let's move on and give another guy another chance and hear another voice, knowing that you're going to be re-exploring it later in the year anyway? So
I think Madden will get another opportunity. He won the World Series with the Chicago Cubs of all teams. Say what you want about he inherited, but you know what? He won a World Series. Typically, World Series guys will get another opportunity when one doesn't work out. It always happens.
Well, think about Joe Madden's history. Okay, the guy did a dynamite job with Tampa Bay Rays. Okay, did get him to a World Series, albeit he didn't win one there. And he's the first guy out there that goes out there and says, you know what, I can win with a little smaller payroll. And he did take him to the World Series. And then after that, what does he do with the Cubs? And if Joe Madden doesn't accomplish another thing in his lifetime, I will tell you this right now. He's the one that broke that century-old jinx with the Cubs, just like Theo Epstein. These guys did something that you engrave in history. And I mean, literally and figuratively engraved.
Twice. He broke the Red Sox curse, and he broke the Cubs curse.
We're talking about Epstein, but I'm talking about Joe Madden.
Oh, right. He was the first manager to actually take the Rays to the playoffs.
Right. No, I know that. So so good point. He took the Braves to the playoffs, okay, but didn't win the World Series. And then he gets the job done in Chicago. And yeah, we all know what Theo Epstein, for God's sakes, to be able to break a jinx with the Cubs, okay, it's just unbelievable. In Epstein's case, in the Red Sox, and then Madden, of course, doing wonders in Tampa. And now Kevin Cash has done a remarkable job picking up where Madden left off. All right, so comments in the chat room here. George Eichhorn, his comments are pretty much consistent with ours. The Angels are in such a mess right now. Yeah, George, they definitely are. And so are the Detroit Tigers. Too many injuries. Well, true, but we aren't talking about the Tigers tonight. We'll leave that for Fire Up Michigan. Okay, but yes, they're having problems as well. But meanwhile, Rick, so where do you let's talk about Joe Madden. Do you think there's another managerial gig down the line for him?
Absolutely, and the Angels should have stuck with him. They got off to a red hot start, and yeah, they're in a terrible losing streak. But it's not going to last. Just like Trout's slump is not going to last. That happens. A lot of great players get into big slumps like that. They just hit a bad spot, but to me, it was just a bad decision, and they should have given him more time. He didn't have pitching there for 2 years, and he finally got some pitching. You just write it out, especially with a guy that's won the World Series with a pedigree of Joe Madden. So you got to give him an opportunity. So to me, it was just too early. I think they were in panic mode. It's Los Angeles. They got to compete with Dodgers. They could compete with the Lakers and all that stuff. And so, this Artie Moreno, he hasn't been a good owner, to be quite honest. He hasn't. He's big, massive payrolls. He's finally got some pitching. He did something with pitching, but for the last couple of years, he didn't do anything. So Madden would just dealt with the cards, and I guess they just felt he should have, you just have a bad streak. You ride it out, but he'll get another opportunity. I think what would be a great idea is how about if Joe Girardi comes to the Angels, Joe Madden to the Phillies?
Yeah, that would be about the biggest irony that I could ever create.
That would be hilarious. I just solved two problems already for two franchises right there.
Here's the thing about the Angels. They're never going to compete with the Lakers or the Dodgers. It's just not going to happen. The Dodgers are I believe are LA's team. And the Lakers, well, they have a legacy there with God knows how many great players who have gone through there from Jerry West all the way now to LeBron James. But it's I don't know why why the Angels feel as though they need to compete with the Dodgers. It's not going to happen. That team has won and won again, time and time again. They're proven to be the model franchise, as we were talking about earlier. But the thing about the Angels is I feel like Joe Madden just did not get a fair shake there. He had little to no pitching there. And then Mike Trout, well, slumps happen. Everybody has them. Like when you're off to a red hot start, these guys, these pitchers, especially nowadays, they will figure you out. It happens. But the fact that Artie Moreno, who apparently doesn't know baseball from a bean counter, he just doesn't get it.
Well, I think the one parallel which is consistent with the Phillies and the Angels is the words panic mode and premature, because that's what we're looking at. Both these guys were fired premature. They didn't even make it 3 years. So 2.5 years pop for either of these guys. So I agree. I mean, yeah, Rick, wouldn't it be interesting if Girardi landed in Southern California and Madden and Philly? Yeah, I'm not holding my breath, but you know what? Anything's possible depending on, what Dave Dombrowski, if he does want that manager that's won. But he already had a manager that won it all. So, where does he go? Does he go back to your buddy Mike Scioscia? Does he resurface? And I'm not throwing names out there, but I know Mike Scioscia's out there. Is he ready to get back involved in another situation? I do agree that Joe Girardi will land again, and I'm quite confident that Joe Madden will. And I guess if I'm going to talk about LA teams, I compare the Angels to the LA Clippers because there's a second wheel there, is what I look at it. And, of course, we all know the Dodgers, to me, are the equivalent to the Lakers. So we know who, but Artie Moreno tried to put the LA in there to go out there and let it appear that, there is another LA team in there. and I respect his businessman for doing that. But in the end, we all know that the Dodgers are king in baseball over the Angels, and the Lakers are king over the Clippers. So what else has to be said?
It was dumb on his part to call them the LA Angels of Anaheim. When I grew up, they were the California Angels. Should just keep them the California Angels. It's LA Angels of Anaheim, and and him getting upset because the Dodgers are called the LA Dodgers, and he's going around saying, well, the Angels used to be called the Los Angeles Angels. Yeah, it was back in the time when they were an expansion team, but they eventually became the California Angels and, of course, the Anaheim Angels. They always, to me, have always been the California Angels. Don't compete with nobody. I grew up in Los Angeles. It's Laker Town. It will always be Laker Town. The Clippers could go undefeated, win the championship. Nobody will care. I'm just telling you, that's a fact. And with the Angels, they just need to stop competing with the Dodgers, be their own, go back to being the California Angels. And, Arthur Moreno just needs to go because he don't know what he's doing.
You know what's amazing how you bring that up? I think the California Angels, they should never have changed that name. California Angels was more than fine. So I'm 100% agreeing on you there. So any other thoughts? All right. So when we summarize all three subjects, I'll give you guys the final word on this. So Rick, give me your final thoughts on Joe Girardi very quickly.
Great manager. Dumb. I thought it was not a good fit for him in Philadelphia. I thought he should have gone to Chicago, in my opinion. He'll come back, and Philly's panicked, and they're gonna. And I know Bryce Harper's throwing some shade at Girardi. He's the fall guy and was a scapegoat, and I think Dombrowski's next.
Some final thoughts on the Dodgers and their massive payroll.
Dodgers.
Go ahead.
Dodgers are doing great. They want to spend. They want to win now. There ain't no salary cap in baseball, so keep doing what you're doing. If there's an old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So don't fix it.
And your final thoughts on Joe Maddon?
Very, very premature. Panic mode, just like the Phillies. Arthur Moreno needs to go. He'll resurface. And I want to see Girardi to the Angels and Maddon to the Phillies.
Okay. All right, Eric, you get the opportunity to talk about all three. Some final thoughts on the Phillies.
I mean, Girardi, I loved what Joe did for the Yankees. I thought, he got us the most recent World Series ring. Love what he did and everything he did for that city. But, I think in Philadelphia, it was just a bad fit. Obviously, built to win right away. But, Philadelphia is just, it's a tough place to manage. I just think I think with his pedigree and what he's been able to do in his career, this is the first like real time he was fired. Forget trigger happy Jeffrey Loria. But, this is the first real time where he actually deserved to go. I have no doubt that he'll be able to find a new gig, whether that be at MLB Network or if a better job opens up.
All right. So your final thoughts on the Dodgers situation, Eric?
I mean, they're the model franchise. There's a reason that they're in the thick of the pennant every year, is because of what they've been able to do. Now it took them a little while to go over the top, but forget if you want to think about 2020. That team was still built to win. That team was very heavily favored to get to the World Series. I mean, you got to give it there. I mean, forget the shortened season. That team was still built to win. I mean, the fact they were able to do that and get prospects, and still keep a great farm system and be balanced. It's truly amazing what they're doing. That's why I think they really are the Steelers of Major League Baseball, no matter how much I despise them.
Okay, and finally, Joe Maddon, as I mentioned the age earlier, 68. So where is he going next, Eric? Obviously, you feel that there's another managerial gig for him?
Oh, 100%. I mean, yeah, he's 68, which I have a feeling he's going to probably want to go to a team that's ready to win right away. Because keep in mind, though, the end of the year hasn't come yet. We haven't seen the shocking firings or anything like that. So I think there's something there for him. This is the first time he's actually been fired. He left the Cubs on his own, and he obviously did great things for that city, to the point where they opened up a restaurant. It was only open a short time, but that was after he left for the Angels. But he won a World Series with the Cubs, which, hard to know, Scott, that happened in your lifetime, or anybody's lifetime for that matter.
No kidding. All right. Well, let me give you some overviews of what I think about the three, and then we'll proceed from there. And we have the Sports Exchange coming up as well. Rick and I and Eric can be very busy. We're bringing on Stan Huff, will join the Sports Exchange. We also will be bringing on Greg Hughes as we start working for our Mount Rushmore with the pitchers. And of course, Rick and I have a date on the Sports Exchange later in the week. So all of us will be very busy this week. Phillies made a mistake by letting Girardi. I thought it was Joe Girardi. Way too premature. Give the guy some time picking pitching, would you? Bullpen help. Corey Knebel hasn't been the same since he left the Milwaukee Brewers. So I think it's a very panicked move. But now, obviously, I'm really curious to see what Dave Dombrowski's next move is in terms of a manager. Is he going to bring in a younger guy, or is he going to bring in an older guy? I think that's Dave Dombrowski will buy time, okay, for about another year or two, because now there'll be now he's, to me, going to be scrutinized because of his next hire. Dodgers, what else can I say about them? To me, unquestionably one of the best organizations in baseball. They win, they spend money wisely, and a lot of it, okay. And they're historical, and the Dodgers simply do things the right way. Joe Madden, again, panic-stricken a little bit there. And as far as I'm concerned, I think the Angels made a bad move. I'm not surprised, though, on the back end of on the final end of the 3-year contract, because if you didn't get rid of him now, they probably would have gone ahead and let him go at the end of the year. So you know what, Joe? Rest up the rest of the summer, evaluate, and think about it. Happy July 4th, Joe. You won't be managing, so enjoy the fireworks, because there'll be a lot more when the managerial carousel kicks in as well. So there I am. I think the Angels made a mistake with Joe Madden, but, he might be better off anyway. So the 2 of the 3 guys are going to be fine. More power to the Dodgers. With that said, this is 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. My name is Scott Morganroth, Motor City Man of Mouth. Please be joined by Rick Curti and Eric Katz. Great broadcast tonight. So with that said, okay, Rick, why don't you let everybody know how they can get a hold of you?
You can find me on my website at www.charlottebats.com and sign our petition to bring Major League Baseball to Charlotte. I'm also on Facebook at Charlotte MLB, Charlotte Bats Baseball. I'm on Instagram at Charlotte Bats, and I'm on Twitter at Charlotte Bats Baseball, and I'm also on LinkedIn under Rick Curti. And if you want to contact me, my email address is cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com.
And Rick does a great job here. Not only is he a regular commentator on these shows, but does an outstanding job as well with social media. All right, Eric, Mr. Concrete Dump. We all know that came from Olympic Stadium in Montreal. I'll just mention it, and then you can put your contact information out there.
Yes, you can find me on my Twitter at Sports Team News, or you can see me at my work on bellyupsports.com, where I cover Wisconsin Badgers football.
And also, I should point out, Eric will be the new co-host of Fire Up Wisconsin. He'll be paired with Candy Ebling, myself, and Mark Mancini. I expect the majority of the show to be featuring Candy Ebling as well as Eric Katz. Mark and I are just going to be hanging out, watching you guys talk and contribute where we can. So looking forward to having you. That actually will debut on June 13th. So really looking forward to seeing how this turns out. So as for yours truly here, my name is Scott Morganroth, Motor City Badmouth, CEO of the South Florida Tribune. You can find our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. You can email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter at Tribune South. Please subscribe to the South Florida YouTube channel so that you can go ahead and see all of our broadcasts. And you can also find them on Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. So on behalf of Rick Curti and Eric Katz, my name is Scott Morganroth, the Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk, and we will catch you the next time. Take care, everybody, and have yourself a great evening. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.